Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Fort Worth Rotary Club. We're going to begin our program with the invocation led by Scott Hackler, founder and CEO, Halo del Santo, LLC, followed by a beautiful rendition of our national anthem played by Wesley Gentle, Director and President of Arts Fort Worth.
Pray with me, friends. A reading from the Hebrew Scriptures, the 100th Psalm. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Scott and Wesley. Now, to welcome our visitors. Chip Swagger, founder and managing member, Swagger? CPA firm.
Thank you, Madam President. You pronounce my name better than my wife does. I'm not sure what that means. So any of you that were in aviation know that there's a term called the pattern is full. The agenda is full today, so if you'll allow, we're going to do things a little bit differently. All of the guests, we're happy to have you here. We've got one visiting Rotarian, Kennedy Hill from the Denton Lake Cities, so I want to welcome you here today. And then for everyone else, if you are a guest of this club, will you please stand? Welcome. I'm not going to take you through the horror of trying to pronounce your names and butchering it. We're just going to welcome you to the club, and so happy that you're here.
Chip, that was perfect. Thank you. Everyone, I'd like to thank our sponsor for today's program, Here Fort Worth. Here Fort Worth is the music initiative of Visit Fort Worth, dedicated to promoting and cultivating the local music scene. They export musicians to tour in other cities and states, host monthly mixers and educate sessions, and advocate for music businesses and music tourism. Because of these efforts, Fort Worth was the first city certified as music-friendly by the Texas Music Office and the Office of the Governor. Congratulations on that. Now join me as we're going to recite our four-way test. First, second, fair to all concerned. Third, deep in goodwill and better friendship. And fourth, deep in appreciation. Thank you, great job. So we are coming to the end of July, can you believe that? But we have some exciting upcoming events, so get ready to participate, it's time. Next Friday, as we mentioned before, we're hosting a committee fair. Come early, support your fellow Rotarians, learn about all the exciting work the different committees are doing, and sign up to participate. Bill Fairley, there's no Ferris wheels at this fair, but we'd really like you to participate as well. On Saturday, August the 17th, we have the opportunity to participate in a vibrant club workshop in Argyle, Texas, just south of Denton. This session will be focusing on Rotary membership, public image, and Rotary Foundation. I highly encourage you to check it out. It's not too late, it's not too far away, and it's very beneficial for those of you interested in participating on the board in the future. Feel free to reach out to myself or Aurora. We'd love for you to join us. And of course, they've already announced the next Rotary International Convention 2025. It will take place in next June 2025 in Calgary, Canada. Now, I'd like to bring to the stage Mr. Tom Williams, partner Haynesboone, for the newscast.
It's all right. Thank you, President Rebecca, and thank you to all of you. I feel about as welcome as a CrowdStrike sales rep at Delta Airlines. This was a busy month for President Biden. The president began the month of July vowing to stay in the 2024 presidential campaign and keep his reelection drive alive. In fact, on July 5th, in an interview, the president said that only the Lord Almighty could get him to drop out of this year's reelection campaign. Well, after enduring 2 weeks of a steady drip, 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 of being urged to get out of the race, not by his opponents, but by his friends in the Democratic Party, the president announced last Sunday that he would indeed drop out of this year's campaign and would not seek re-election. We don't know exactly why the president came to that decision, and the Lord Almighty could not be reached for comment. But perhaps the president woke up one morning and came to the conclusion that the biggest obstacle to his re-election campaign was not Donald Trump, but the most formidable opponent of all, Father Time. In making his announcement, however, the president did something he's been trying to do throughout his presidency, and that's to unify the country. In a New York Times poll released just this morning, 87% of Americans approved of his decision to drop out of the race. 87% of Americans don't agree on whether the sun should come up in the morning in most polls. 9% said they thought it was a bad decision, and 4% said, "Who's Joe Biden?" But before making his announcement, the president spoke to some key leaders of the Democratic Party and said that he hoped that the party would nominate a woman to replace him, and that he even had someone in mind. Unfortunately, however, Jill Biden said she was not interested, and so the party turned instead to Vice President Kamala Harris. By 4 p.m. last Sunday, the vice president announced that her LinkedIn profile had been viewed 47,682 times, and that was enough to show that the Democratic Party had united behind her as its next presidential nominee. In business news, Southwest Airlines made a bombshell announcement this week, announcing that it will end its longstanding open seating policy and adhere to the airline tradition of selling assigned seats. Despite the prediction made and promises made many years ago by Southwest's legendary founder Herb Kelleher, there were no immediate reports of hell freezing over. President Biden was not the only 81-year-old in the news this week, however. The Dallas Cowboys' 81-year-old owner, Jerry Jones, who is certainly not retiring, was a couple of days late reporting to the Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California. Jones spent the first few days of this week in court in Texarkana, where his opponent was not Father Time, but a woman who claims he's Father Jerry. However, after 2 days of trial, Jones, the woman, and her mother reached an out-of-court settlement by which all of the suits and countersuits are being dropped. That allowed Jones to get to Oxnard in time for his annual training camp press conference yesterday, at which he did what he has done so well for the last 27 years, and that's to explain how, even though the Cowboys did not make the Super Bowl last year, this year is going to be different. For today's celebrity birthday, join me in wishing a happy birthday to Mick Jagger. The leading Rolling Stone is, you guessed it, he's 81 years old also. Yeah, and he's not retiring. When Jagger turned 30, he famously said that I'd rather be dead than singing Satisfaction at age 45. But the passage of time has a way of changing everyone's perspective on life. Last Sunday, only a few hours after President Biden made his historic announcement, the Rolling Stones concluded their 18-city North American Hackney Diamonds tour with a concert in Ridgedale, Missouri. And the final encore song at that concert was Satisfaction. Well, the Rolling Stones are not coming to Fort Worth this weekend, but we are having the National Multicultural Western Heritage Museum Hall of Fame induction and banquet Saturday night at the Worthington Hotel. I don't think Jim Austin is quite 81 years old, but however old he is, he'll be there. And his guest over there, LaMonica Garrett, is going to be one of the honorees. So if you're out and about Saturday night, check it out, and Jim will take care of you, no doubt. And there's our honoree, yeah. As for the weekend weather, not too bad for the last weekend of July. High temperatures only about 90, even a chance of rain. Enjoy it while you can, because triple digits will be here soon, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Tom. Wow, Mick Jagger, 81. Who knew? Now, everyone, help me welcome Ed McLean, consultant with Champion Commercial Insurance, who will share some information about our social next Wednesday. He'll be followed by our world traveler, past President Carlo Capria, Chief of Strategy and Innovation with the City of Fort Worth, who will tell us a little bit about the trip he recently took.
Thanks, Rebecca. It's always nice not to have to adjust the mic downward when I come up here. Chip, please remember that it's customary to tip the guest registration staff. Next time, the names may be a little blurry. Anyway, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. As you may recall from last week, the proposed entertainment for the upcoming Rotary Social Hour next week became a bit tangled in red tape getting permits from City Hall, so we've changed it up a bit. First, Ryan Jodish will now put on a puppet show of the Three Little Pigs. Michael Crane will do an encore of his recent performance in Grease. And Abby Dudek will lead us with a Taylor Swift karaoke hour. Earplugs will be provided. In any event, the first Rotary After Hours of the new Rotary term is next Wednesday, July 31st at Grace, from 5 to 7 p.m. Please come, invite your spouse, invite your friends, anyone that might be interested in joining Rotary. It's a great opportunity to meet many of our new members and just have a good time. The QR code up there is also in the rotograph. Please register no later than Monday. And the cost is $20 to cover the shared appetizers, and drinks are on your own. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come see me after the meeting. I hope to see everybody there. All right.
Thank you, President Rebecca. So a few weeks ago, I had a chance to travel to the other side of the world and go to a Rotary Club. I had the opportunity to go to Papua New Guinea, which is in the middle of Oceania. Oceania is essentially the continent of Australia, New Zealand, and then a bunch of tiny little islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I was one of the first American guests they ever had. This is the Rotary Club of, and Tom, if you could help me on the next slide. The Rotary Club, it's in Port Moresby. This is the Rotary Club of Boroko Iaboiboy. I know, say that 3 times. This is me with their president and their president-elect. There are many Australians as a part of this club, and so they were very excited to see us. If you go to the next slide, Tom, you can see, is there another slide? Oh, that's it, okay. So I wanted to present this to our club. I don't know if we've ever had a banner from Papua New Guinea, but President Rebecca, this is on behalf of the Rotary Club in Papua New Guinea. They send their best regards. Want to get a photo?
Sorry, I had Taylor Swift playing.
No. I'll send this to Heather.
Thank you.
You got it?
Thank you. Carla, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing and representing us. It's so interesting to hear, especially when it's the first time someone has visited a location like that. And it also, I think, says a lot about Rotary and the impact and the outreach that it makes around the world. Now, everyone, please help me welcome our Secretary, Christina Judge, Executive Director of Mental Health Connection. She'll join me for some first readings. Very exciting.
I know our membership committee's kicking butt here. My alma mater. Okay, first two readings. Today, we have first reading is Garrett Hadley, title Investment Coordinator, company God Bless Retirement, classification Business Brokerage, proposer immediate past President Kirk Driver. Second is Kevin Chikotsky, title Business Development, company God Bless Retirement. We've got, and classification is business brokerage, and proposal is Ed McLin. It's interesting, they didn't have the same proposer. Okay, if no written objections are received in the Rotary office by August 2nd, these proposals will be given a second reading and voted on by the club. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Now what you've all been waiting for. Ready? Help me welcome our chairperson of the day, past President J.R. Labby, partner, Chief Communications Officer, CSC Leadership. Welcome, J.R.
Thank you, President Rebecca. Thank you all. Yeah. That time will come. This is not it. So, our speaker today sits in the big chair at one of our community's most important institutions. The majority of you may never have entered a facility bearing a JPS logo. I wager that most of you aren't aware that the main campus in the city's near south side sits on land that future Mayor John Peter Smith deeded back in 1877 for a place where individuals from Fort Worth and Tarrant County could, quote, have the best of medical care. In 1906, a hospital affiliated with the Fort Worth Medical School, and yes, we were teaching medicine back at the turn of that century, opened with free care to all accident cases. That was the foundation for JPS Health Network. In 1913, the year our Rotary Club was chartered, county commissioners agreed to match city funds to operate a 25-bed hospital downtown. Peter Smith's land wasn't used until 1938, and it took 2 tries at a bond election to pass to build a 166-bed city-county hospital. And that's what it was called. George Bush, that named the stadium, the ballpark in Arlington, would be proud. It was the City County Hospital. In 1954, the name changed to celebrate and recognize John Peter Smith, and it became John Peter Smith Hospital. You may never receive care from JPS, and you might even gritch about the minimal tax dollars you provide for its operation. But countless patients are grateful that Tarrant County residents back in 1959 understood the importance of a healthcare system available to everyone. So important, they voted to tax themselves through the Tarrant County Hospital District to keep it on firm financial footing. I had the privilege of working at JPS for 9 years, and I continue to receive my primary care there. I met Dr. Karen Duncan when she was part of a national healthcare consulting team that helped JPS prepare for the 2018 bond election, in which we were successful with 81% of the vote. In addition to practicing pediatric medicine for more than 20 years, Dr. Duncan rose to executive leadership positions at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta and Cook County Health and Hospital System in Chicago. Both are publicly supported, just like JPS. I used to joke that JPS is a political organization that happens to deliver health care. In today's environment, that's not very funny. Duncan has the crucial and often thankless task of navigating some pretty choppy waters right now, and I'm looking forward to hearing how she's handling it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Karen Duncan.
So thank you. Thank you for those kind words, JR. Tom, thinking 81, I looked down at my watch and it said the temperature here was 81 degrees. I am not 81. You can see that the photograph that was there before, that I actually had that really done well, so I would not look 81. So, but good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, President Rebecca Montgomery. And thank you, JR, and thanks to all of you for allowing me opportunity to come and share a little bit about JPS. I'm sure many of you have heard about JPS, and I would probably beg to disagree with JR that you probably have family or have utilized JPS at some point in your healthcare, for your healthcare needs. JR, you will always remain a JPS team member. We often hear your name when someone's saying, so who came up with that crazy idea? I hear J.R. Lobby. So your name still resonates throughout the halls of JPS. So you may ask about what, Let's Get Loud and what does JPS have in common with Jennifer Lopez? Well, as we were hearing from our community members, from elected officials who were touring JPS, as they were touring, we kept hearing them say, and JR probably remembers this, like, I didn't know that about JPS. When we told them about the number of sites, the number of services, the number of people that we serve, we would hear them say, really? I never knew that about JPS. So as part of my 2024 CEO initiative, I said and challenged our team members, our community members, our patients, our board members, and now I'm going to challenge you to get loud about JPS, because you are going to learn quite a bit about JPS today. So let's start with just a little trivia game. I think at each of your tables, and we have some of our foundation members that can help you, but there should be some cards there, A, B, C, D. Do you guys see it? Maybe in your folder, is that correct? Okay. In your folder that stands up in the middle of your table here? Yeah. So there's these A, B, C, D, or true, false. So we're going to play a little trivia game and see how smart or how informative, we know you're very, very smart, but how informative you are about JPS. Has everyone found it? If not, raise your hand and we'll get someone to come get it. Designate one person to raise it, okay? So you guys have to quickly make your decision. Okay. So our first question is, how many patient encounters, so this is patient visits, does JPS do every year? Raise it as soon as you, I see B, I see D going. I see a lot of Ds and I see B. So B or D? Actually, those who raise D, it is 1 million. We are, well, you guys are a rowdy crowd here. You went a colonoscopy. Okay. I know, I was just thinking that, Rebecca, this is not going to end in time. But yeah, we see over 1 million patient visits. Just think about that. And that's because we are located throughout Tarrant County, and that's because we are a large safety net hospital. And these large systems see a lot of patients. And we are on track to probably see more than 1 million patients. We are getting to our pre-COVID numbers. Okay, let's go on to number 2. How many team members, how many people work at JPS Health Network? And these are coming from Tarrant County. These are employees coming from Tarrant County. Okay, there are some tables that like D, and there are some tables that like B. Okay. And remind me not to have Julie Butner at any of my trivia games, but actually there are over 7,200 team members. Think about that. Think about that. The downstream economic impact to Tarrant County if you were to pull this out. So huge, huge. And healthcare continues to be the sector in which hiring continues to go on, hospitality and healthcare. So we will continue to need trained healthcare workers. Okay. How many beds does JPS have licensed? And we are licensed by the state of Texas. And we only use licensed beds, in case you're asking how many unlicensed beds we have. But during COVID, during the emergency declaration, we were allowed to build additional care spaces. So do some of these tables only have D or B as letters? Do they get any A or C at all? Okay, let's see. You guys are good. That is probably the hardest question, and yet you guys knew it. But yeah, but you heard JR speak about the first hospital structure that was erected. I believe what she said, about 66 beds, or yeah, 25, and then 166 at the current site. So we're now at 582. That speaks to the growth here in Tarrant County and to the need that's here in Tarrant County. Our new facility, anyone want to venture a guess? We'll have close to 700 beds. So again, preparing for the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I'm sure that was for me. Also, just thinking back, does anyone know who the #1 employer is in Tarrant County? We had 7,200. Where? Lockheed, yeah, Lockheed. You know, when I ask my new employees, they often will say Target, and I'm thinking, Target will disappear if y'all go away, but yeah. Okay, how many clinics? And actually, I will allow 2 answers to be credited, but how many clinics does JPS Health Network have across Tarrant County? Your C is dyslexic. Yes. So I see a variety of answers. I'm going to actually accept A and B, and I didn't see too many Bs. But if you just count the brick and mortar facilities, if you just look at just brick and mortar, it's 25. But if you look at different clinics within those facilities, we have more than 60 clinics that are running throughout Tarrant County. Okay. But I gave you credit for 2, and I don't think I saw any Bs there. Okay, everyone should know this. What level trauma center is JPS? Yes. We are the longest standing level 1 trauma center. And you heard JR talk about really the first physical structure being erected in order to take care of the trauma. And so, okay, now this one, our board was asked about yesterday. How many languages do we translate at JPS? And I know you're thinking, wow, I was going to say one or two, and I see these numbers are high numbers. Going once, going twice. Okay. Over 200 languages are translated across all facilities at JPS. You may ask, is that the 7,200 employees that you have that do your translation? No, in fact, we do have in-person translation for our more common languages that we translate for, which you would expect would be Spanish. We do have French, Vietnamese, Arabic, Swahili, Nepali. Those are our most common languages that we translate for. But for those other languages and those dialects, it is over 200. I think the last time we counted was about 206. And we do that what's called a language line. And so that interfaces with our electronic health records. So the nurse goes in as she's setting up. We screen every patient as they come in and ask them what their preferred language is. Not, do you speak English, but what language do you prefer that we communicate in with you? And then we find the translator virtually in order to connect up for that visit. Impressive, isn't it? Okay. How many residency programs? And this is not just the residency programs that train our doctors. Raise it up. Raise it up. You guys are really smart. Yeah. I think because you're thinking, you guys do a lot, there's going to be the high number. You're good test takers. And I see Jared, you've taken it away from Julie. Okay. Okay. So yeah, when we look at the amount of training that we have that's going on across JPS, we are the largest center here in Tarrant County for training future healthcare workers. So again, think about the economic impact, but also the preparing the pipeline for future healthcare workers JPS provides. We have now probably one of the largest, JR, since you've left, nurse residency program. It has grown to over 150 nurses that run through.
Holding it back.
I did ask whose idea was that, and they did say JR. But we do a lot of training. Okay. Is JPS 100% tax supported? So this is not a letter, it's true or false. So you're right. It is false. And although there's a lot of attention around the property taxes, only about a third of the revenue, of our revenue comes from tax dollars. That means that 70% we have to figure out. And so we do have patients that do have insurance, that have governmental supported services such as Medicare and Medicaid. And then we also work at the state level. So we have a team that works at the state level. We belong to a lot of the organizations at the state level that advocate for some of that disproportionate share or uncompensated care money that sits at the federal level and runs through the state. And we sit at the table and we justify the work that we do and why it is that we need those monies to continue caring for the residents of Tarrant County. And so while everyone gets caught up in this property tax, we often are off already looking elsewhere for ways to generate revenue. About a third of ours does come from those patients who have great insurance that we can bill for. So we're not irresponsible. If they have insurance, we bill for those services. Okay, you guys are on a roll here. Carla said, I got it. And that table over there said A. I heard you guys were a wild bunch, but I didn't really think to this level. So yeah, we are, and I've already mentioned that, so actually Carla was actually listening, and we are. Okay, JR gave you a little bit of a hint, but John Peter Smith was known for being which of these? And C, so yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know, it was really hard to find what he didn't do. I mean, he was an amazing man. In fact, I think you guys would have sponsored him for this Rotary Club. I'm not sure he would have sat here, but no, I'm just teasing. But I mean, you know, just the requirements, what, you know, who you are, what it is that you do, it really embodies who John Peter Smith was. I don't know if you know this, but he was a lawyer, he was an educator, he was key in building the first stockyards and the railroad network here in Fort Worth. I mean, when did he have time to do anything else? And of course, as mayor, he served, does anybody know how many terms he served? 6 terms. 6 terms, yeah. He may have been a little bit older than 81 at the time he finished. But he was also the largest landowner, and JR spoke to you about how kind he was in deeding those 5 acres in which the current hospital at 1500 South Main sits. So let's go on. Thank you guys for taking part in that trivia. You guys really do know a lot about JPS, so it's time to get loud about it. Just a little bit about JPS. I think all of you know that we are governed by our Tarrant County Commissioners Court, and that is that Commissioner Court that each member, that's a 5-member court, they appoint 2 members and then 1 at large to sit on the JPS Board of Managers. And so that's how that governance is set up. It is the county that sets the tax rate for the hospital district and also approves the budget for the hospital district. We do have a mission, vision, and values. I mean, I think with safety net hospitals, and JPS is no different. We are strong, mission-driven. And it is all about, much like you do, in being problem solvers and impacting the community. But for us, it's really transforming how healthcare is delivered within the communities here of Tarrant County. And to do it with excellence and getting recognition for how we provide care with high quality, with great patient experience, and with ongoing improvements in access. And we do it through a value system. And I think what you feel most when you're at JPS is this teamwork that goes on. Everyone knows that they cannot do it alone. And that team not only includes other team members, but it also includes community members, and we'll talk a little bit about some of our partnerships that are sitting here today, but also our patients are part of our team. And it is because of this mission, vision, and values that, and get ready, I wish I had a drum roll, that in 2024, JPS was recognized, and Carlo, had I known you were going out of the country, but was recognized as a Gallup Exceptional Workplace. But this was not for Texas, Tarrant County, for the United States. It was in the world. It was one of 60 places, workplaces in the world, and it wasn't all healthcare. It was across all industries. Who would have known that Fort Worth would get on the map globally? And many of you have also made that accomplishment. But it is because of our mission or vision and values that we have a culture that is highly engaged in meeting the needs, healthcare needs of the community, and other needs besides those of healthcare. So, yeah, great team that we have there. I'm not going to stay, thought I had one before this. I don't, so I guess that one was taken out. But I did have one that actually, let's see if it, there it is. Must got out of order there. But I'm not going to stay on this. But look at the amount of regulatory oversight that we have. And when I have elected officials that are touring JPS, and I bring up this slide, they say like, what can we do to help you? I mean, this takes a lot of time and a lot of resource, right? When that helicopter comes, you know, we've got to make sure that the FAA has cleared us. So just think about this. When you're thinking about taking care of healthcare too, and how we have to do it in a very complex environment. This one, I'm trying to think, are we a little bit? Yeah, you are. Okay. So let's just talk about real quickly, it's always important each year as we review our strategy, understand just kind of what's going on in healthcare across the United States. I mean, what is happening with healthcare? Well, as everyone knows, especially if you've had to access healthcare, it's amazing how much the cost of healthcare has continued to rise. Of course, overlying this is inflation, so the cost of labor and supplies continue to be almost unsustainable. We continue to be challenged with workforce shortages. And as a result of these workforce shortages and this inflationary increase in labor cost, we are having a difficult time across the country meeting the demand for health care. There is an aging population. And so we are seeing more of these Medicare Advantage plan, and I don't know if you if you have like non-Netflix and all other Hulus or whatever, but during enrollment time, those ads just run constantly, right? And it is thought in a very short period of time, the insurance portfolio for hospital systems will be largely made up of these Medicare Advantage plans. That's how much of the population is moving into this 65 and older population. Across the nation, we're not meeting the needs of mental health. And I think one thing that's really interesting is that we're starting to see these non-traditional entrants, such as Amazon, come into our sector. And just think about this. By 2030, it is thought that these non-traditional entrants, such as Amazon, will own 30% of the healthcare market share. They do have advanced technology, right? But there are these non-traditional entrants that are entering into helping solve the problems of access. And with this high technology, advancement in technology, we are across the nation seeing cybersecurity threats. AI has entered our world already, so we have to have policies that are going to have to set the direction and how it is that we use AI. In fact, yesterday I received an email from the American Hospital Association that warned all hospitals globally about a possible hacker or cybersecurity threat. My CIO, Chief Information Officer, looks 10 years older since he started yesterday, trying to monitor the threats that hit our system. And each day, it's in the thousands. And so you can imagine what insurance costs, what it costs to have 24/7 monitoring. And then what's interesting is that there's this growth in revenue in specialty pharmacy. And so for those of you who may have inflammatory bowel disease or some of the chronic connective tissue diseases in which we have these drugs that we now use that really help with quality of life, those are becoming more and more available and on the market. And so there is a lot of growth in revenue in specialty pharmacy. And so outcomes for patients is getting better. Okay, so let's just get, that was nationally, to just get to Tarrant County here, it's no different. You guys know that every day, there's more and more people that move into Tarrant County that will increase the healthcare demand, and we've already outstripped the demand. There's not enough access for healthcare. There is well, I'm not going to say aging population because I actually fit it, but let's just say that there are more individuals that are entering into this Medicare era. And Texas has one of the fewest number of mental health access sites. Has more uninsured individuals, and it has fewer mental health sites. I'm not going to stay on this one long, but you can look at all these little dots that you see around is where JPS is at. And you may have driven past many of our sites. They are beautiful, well-kept, upkept sites. Our logo on it tends to be small, so we're working on that as we start to get loud. But we're embedded in the community. Our strategic priorities this year include our workforce that you just heard about, our recognition of our workforce. And then let's talk a little bit about what's going on. I'm sure many of you know of the bond work or the master facility plan. There's a lot of activity going on campus. If you drive by there, it's really kind of hard to get a parking spot. There's a lot of construction signs. In fact, I think we have some of our vendors that are helping build these new facilities. I think I passed one today here. But if you look here in I guess it would be to your top left there is the PEC that's going up, I believe down at the bottom, right, this picture there is really the new parking garage, and parking tends to be the most challenging for everyone. Employees get upset every time you change where they park. Our patients are often challenged in finding parking. So parking is always difficult when you have very limited real estate in order to build and as you're moving things. And then in the right corner, right-hand corner there is a new primary care, what we call medical home site that's going up in southwest Tarrant County. I believe it's at the intersection of Granbury and Alta Mesa. These are some renderings of what it'll look like. Again, beautiful sites. Again, the medical home is sitting now on the left upper, parking garage on the right upper, and then the PEC down below. So that's what it'll look like as it's completed. This is our plan, and the blue is just really kind of where the new hospital will sit here at main campus. But I just wanted to give you some dates because we're often asked kind of when are we going to start to see these new sites open. The first site will be the Medical Home Southwest, and that will be at the end of this year. And so that'll be exciting. And then that will be followed by this Psychiatric Emergency Center in summer of next year. And then quickly coming up will be the parking garage, and our medical office building will house all of our specialty care, but it also will add some outpatient surgery sites. And so it will be there so that we can move some of the surgery that's been done in the inpatient that's approved to be done on the outpatient. So patients don't have to come into the hospital. They can actually get it done there. And then we'll follow up by the end of 2029, late 2029, early 2030 with the new hospital towers. So it'll be here in a blink, I'm telling you. You know, our patients are true north. We're there because of our patients, and we do our work because of our patients. This is just globally across the world that our patients, one thing that's unique about many of our patients is that they often have barriers. Those can be financial barriers or they can be social barriers. And so you hear the term often, social determinants of health. Those are the social barriers that individuals come in. And if you do not impact those social barriers, you will not be able to impact the health. And so just across the nation, and Julie can speak about, the food insecurity here in Tarrant County, but there's a lot of people that still are experiencing food insecurity, experiencing homelessness, that live below the federal poverty line, and who are uninsured across the nation. So what does JPS do? This comes straight out of our strategic plan, that we partner purposefully to services in the community to meet those needs. And so how do we determine that? We do a scan. We do what's called a community health needs assessment about every 2 to 3 years. Our Office of Strategy often will also continue those scans of the communities we serve. And they determine what are those kind of highest social barriers. And homelessness, food insecurity, and transportation remain the highest barriers for our patients. So what do we do? Well, I think many of you know True Worth, the resource center for those experiencing homelessness in the True Worth community where some of our shelters sit. But we actually have a clinic there that has many services there for those who are experiencing homelessness. And then if you don't know Joel, or if he's not come to speak here, you got to get him here, but he runs our street medicine program. And we had a foundation here that actually gave him a van and equipped that van that he goes straight under the bridges and meets them where they're at. I don't know if Larry Afflin is here. Is Larry here today? Hey, Larry. Larry is president of our JPS Foundation. And he went on a ride recently with Joel out in street medicine, and he has a lot to talk about with that. We also, Julie's here, but I think many of us know how Julie is a true problem solver. And she had very early on in her tenure said, hey, listen, we've got to partner in this because I truly do understand how important nutritious foods are for this community in order to have good health. And she has increased the amount of nutritious foods that get out to our communities, but we also partner in addressing some of the social determinants. So thank you, Julie, for your partnership. Cook Children, so partnering with another hospital system. Cook was gifted some land over in the Las Vegas Trail area. Many of us know the challenges in that community. And when I sat down with him shortly after stepping into this seat, he said, hey, listen, we were gifted some land, and we always want to be able to meet the needs of the community. Would you be willing to partner? And I thought, oh my God, I'm actually going to get a raise this year. Thank you. But yeah, so that's been a great partnership. Yeah, I know you guys caught that kind of late, didn't you? But it's been a great partnership. You can see Maddie Parker here, and Rick Merrill here, and others during the groundbreaking. I'm going to finish up because Rebecca told me to wrap this up a little bit. I do want to call attention to a couple others, and I'll get through this quickly, but just addressing those experiencing homelessness. You may have seen recently in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram about the partnership between JPS and Casa de Esperanza. And for those of you who may not know, Casa de Esperanza is a housing initiative with the city of Fort Worth to address homelessness and serves as the largest permanent supporting housing development in Fort Worth. And what was great about this is that JPS identified those who were high utilizers in our emergency room and were experiencing homelessness and said, we truly do feel if you give them housing, they will no longer enter our emergency room, and we will have better outcomes for them. And sure enough, we were able to identify 119 individuals, and we have shown improved outcomes and really pretty much eliminated those ED visits. So this is a great partnership. And then transportation with Uber Health. And then Visit Fort Worth has been a great one. And if Rebecca, if you give me time, I'd love to have a video played from one of our patients, because we always want you to see it through the patient's eyes. But we were able to partner with Here Fort Worth Music Association to provide medical care. It's branded under what's called Sound Care, but it provides eligibility and low-cost care to musicians who often don't have insurance. And so I want to demonstrate that with just a short video, and we'll be finished here.
Second verse. Oh, if you need, yeah.
My name is Shake Anderson, Sam Shake Anderson. Music has always been a part of my life. My mother sang with the Louisville Gospel Singers. It was a choir. She sang with them. I remember saying, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna be a musician. I didn't know how, none of that, but I knew somehow I'm gonna be a musician. And I've been playing basically about 45 years now. And then I got cancer and immediately went to brain surgery. And when I came to, I couldn't speak at all, nothing. And I was paralyzed. The first doctors, they told me, you're not gonna do this again.
I met Sheikh in August of 2022 after he had his brain surgery at another hospital, and he came to JPS. And meeting him and his wife, you could tell that he was very sad. He wasn't very talkative. He had slurred speech still after the surgery. And when I told him, what's bothering you the most after the surgery, he told me, I can't play.
A lady had given me an acoustic bass. It was a nylon string acoustic bass. And she wanted me to play. And I couldn't do it. I could not do it. And I cried. It broke my heart. Dr. Gabash, when he heard that I was told that I wouldn't play again, he said, well, who said that? Who decided that? He said, no, man. He said, if you want to do it, you can do it.
So even if there's a small glimmer of hope, we always try to push the patients toward that. That became part of his visit. We talk about his cancer, we talk about his treatment, and we also talk about his music. And you can tell that that was really a big motivator for him.
I believe, oh, I believe. Like the first thing you said was, you can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to. You just gotta figure out what you want to do and do it. And at that point, I realized, okay, the first gig I did, it might have been, I could stand for like 5 minutes. And then I had to sit down the whole time. The more I did it, the better I got. It took a long time to get rhythm, soloing, all of that stuff to get the mechanics back. But once I got them back, it was on. There was a saying, if it is to be, it's up to me. But I found that to not be true, that I found that it takes a whole lot of people to make your path what it is.
It takes a whole army to be able to deliver the treatment and the hope to the patient. It's not just the physician.
They all said, you can do it. All the staff at JPS, all were wonderful.
JPS oncology team used to be called the Hope Team. Part of it is because we are able to give the patients the hope that, yes, you can get treatment even if you don't have great insurance. Yes, you can get treatment, and you can get the best treatment that's available out there to help your condition.
And I'm playing constantly as much as I can. I go and play gigs for free just so I can play. And so, you know what I'm saying? It don't cost you nothing. I sing a lot, and I'm re-energized. I'm totally alive. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
And I will end on that, just kind of a funny note. We met Sheikh. He was performing at one of our events. He actually did charge us for it. He just told us, and we did. And then we did this video with him, and he said, yeah, I don't charge anybody. I'm thinking, I could have sworn I paid for it. Thank you so much for allowing me time to come and speak to you, and thank you for your donation to JPS and its program.
Dr. Duncan, thank you so much for being here today. And the video, wow, that's moving. We are so blessed to have JPS right here in our community. Thank you for all the charity. Show our appreciation for you taking the time today. We have made a donation in your name to the Rotary Polio Plus Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And congrats on the Gallup Award. I'd say that award is bragging rights here in Fort Worth, right in our own backyard. Thank you again to our sponsor here at Fort Worth, creating the music initiative of Visit Fort Worth, promoting and cultivating the local music scene in the first city certified as music friendly by the state of Texas. We have one more special thank you. The Fort Worth Club team takes care of us every single week. They treat us special. I want to say thank you, show our appreciation. Not everyone has the opportunity to meet in a location such as this. We're very blessed. A few closing announcements. Today we have a board of directors meeting. Yeah, exciting. We're meeting in the Rotary office. See you soon. And next week we have the opportunity to hear from Captain Matt Peterson, Tarrant County Regional Auto Crimes Task Force. Some of you may have heard on NPR this week a program about the spike in car thefts in Fort Worth. So this is a very timely speaker. Thank you all for choosing to join us today. Have a great weekend, and we are adjourned.